Hey, welcome back to God's Glory and Men's Real Stories. I am your host, Robert Moore III, and I'm excited that you would join us today for the continuation or part two of a conversation I'm having with my brother, Jason Baker. So be sure to catch part one before enjoying this episode. And so, with that said, we're going to jump right back in, and I pray that you feel God's love as well as see God's glory in men's real stories.
And I feel like this is the trouble a lot of times with, um, I hate generalizing, but I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do it.
Here we go. Let's do it.
But this, when those churches that meet online or, have this big presence or like, you're going to get blessed, you just got to be faithful. What if you're not, and you're still faithful? How do we respond to that?
Well, the question is what type of blessings are you looking for? Like, if you have expectations of like, I'm expecting $1 million.
I know.
That's my, like, maybe God's like, no. I actually have a different blessing for you when it doesn't come in the financial area.
I understand.
Maybe it comes in the wisdom area. Maybe it comes in the resources area. Maybe it comes like we sometimes doctor up this idea of exactly how God's going to work it out.
Yeah.
Exactly what, like, it's almost like I came up with the plan, God. Now I want you to bless it. This is what I want to do. Now I need your stamp of approval. When it's almost like he's like, oh, no. See, I'm going to let you do that, but this is my plan for you.
Yeah.
And the problem is that you keep making these plans up and you keep coming to me saying, hey, look, how do you feel about this? Instead of saying, hey, God, what is your plan for me? Where are you taking me? And more importantly, I'm going to surrender all, I got a list of them and they're really good. But I'm going to surrender this list over to you and allow you to show me where you're going. Almost like you were describing or explaining your friend, in that he has no worries about where he's going to sleep tonight.
Yeah.
He knows that God's going to provide for him. So he doesn't come up with this idea of, I actually wanted to sleep at the Ritz tonight. So God, if that doesn't happen, I feel like you haven't shown up for me. It's more like, I know you're going to provide me rest tonight.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that place that he may sleep is not even inside. It might just be under the tree that blocks whatever weather is happening, or might be in a position that's close to water or something. I don't know.
But regardless, he knows that he's going to rest.
Yeah,
and so it's not so much, well, why aren't you doing this, or why is it not looking this way, God? It's more like, God, I'm going to let you lead me. And even in that, when it doesn't look the way I thought it would look, I still realize that you didn't step away and just say, oh, my bad. Oh, here it comes. Wait a minute. Let me fix that.
Yeah.
It's more like, this is where you want me. And regardless of whatever reason you have me standing here, or however you have me feeling this way, there's a reason for that. And I'm going to stay faithful, but more importantly, I'm going to keep my heart open to recognize that there's a reason for this.
Well, you tell me what you think staying faithful means too, because I have an opinion, or I feel like I have some understanding of what that means, but I feel like there's a lot of people that would call themselves Christians that don't know what that means.
Yeah.
What does staying faithful mean?
To me, in my opinion, I believe that I am faithful in the good times and the bad. I am faithful when it's going the way I would like it to go. And I am faithful even when it's like, yo, what is happening right now? Like, why would you allow this to happen? But more so, it's like, God, I don't know what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
But I'm here for it regardless. This is not comfortable, but I realize that it's in my discomfort that you're growing me and you're preparing me for something that I can't foresee.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to praise you. I'm going to lean into what you're doing even when I don't quite like it. I don't like the way this looks. I don't like the way it's being handled.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust you though. I know whatever you're doing, it's beyond my sight. There are a lot of things I can see. There are a lot of things that I have no idea what you're doing, but I'm faithful even when it looks bad. And I think that it's not fair.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I'm faithful to what you're doing.
Absolutely. It may suck. It
yes.
might suck, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. Yeah, that's definitely. I feel like, and saying it sucks isn't even sometimes the right word to describe the pain that you might be feeling in that thing.
There's words I probably wouldn't use anymore. So yes, you're exactly right.
And it's so cool. Just to encapsulate kind of, if I know I'm feeling a certain way of despair or loss of hope, or I know somebody else is, there's a Psalm 42. Cole showed me this Psalm when I was you know, when I first met him. And there's a song out there. It's called "I'm Satisfied in You," but it kind of describes this despair that we may feel following Jesus. You might want your enemies to be destroyed. You may not understand what moment you're in. The waves crashing over you. You may not understand why it's happening to you. And I feel like people all the time, and we're in a culture of selfism. You know, we're reflecting on what's good for me kind of thing. And we're almost shutting out the like pain itself to make it just not irrelevant, or just make it completely irrelevant.
Right.
Guys, we're meant to feel pain.
Most definitely.
We are not in our fully redeemed mindset or body to not accept the fact that we're going to feel pain.
And it doesn't make us less manly
exactly.
to feel pain. Like a lot of people, oh man, suck it up, tough it up. Like it doesn't hurt that bad.
Yeah.
It's like,
and that's not embracing the pain.
Right.
Like when that's said, embracing the pain is knowing that like Jesus will redeem it when I'm alive or when I'm not, you know, like, or when physical embodiment is here or not, you know, and it may be generational things may occur before it's redeemed. And I mean, it's the story of Naomi, you know, Naomi was following her ex or her husband's that passed away mother, and you know there was generational like we don't know what's gonna happen, you know, kind of thing. The descendants of Adam, from Adam to Jesus, those 14 or not 14, I'm gonna say more than that. For some reason I'm thinking 14. Those descendants, anyway, the stories of those descendants are so tumultuous and crazy at times that you're like, the Son of God's coming from this line. You're going to redeem the world through this group of people. And I feel even in my own personal past, like my family history, you know, and I'm not saying I'm the moment of redemption because that would be ridiculous. Jesus is the moment of that redemption. But there are times where I look back and I'm like, holy crap, how did we come out of this? Like how, and I'm sure people who are believers that have had, you know, generational attachments to slavery feel that way when they're like, how am I going to get redeemed from this amount of weight? And, you know, you can talk about any natural or, you know, world historical period and be like, where is God going to redeem that?
How is God going to make it happen through all the trauma we've been through all the trauma our family's been through?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like what, and why me? Like, why would it be me?
Yeah.
Like,
those are adequate questions. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that question, but saying it from a position of hope is way more impactful to how you respond than saying it from a position of anger or a position of, you know, real, I'm going to say despair. I think I want to say that, but you know the position you're going to be in, or your posture will be when you ask that question. When life hits you hard, how are you going to respond to those things? And if it's generational, like it may not be you that it gets redeemed in, but your heart has to be available, you know, for those things. And you have to talk about the things that help develop your spiritual life and develop your sense of hope. And it may be your kids, it may be your grandkids that it finally gets redeemed, and you have to be okay with that, you know. And I tell
why not you though?
Yeah, why not me? It could be me, you know, and it could be you, you know. It doesn't. It could be us. I think if you have a heart of it could be me, it could not be me, you're just going to let Jesus decide. I think that's the best position you could possibly be in for something to happen now or later.
But I believe Jesus has already made the decision. The question is do you have the faith to realize that why wait on this to happen in my grandkids' time?
Yeah.
It's almost like God, use me now in this time.
Yeah.
And allow me to be able to drop the baggage that my family has carried, that they've passed over to me now to continue to do what you've called me to do, and not necessarily have to carry all this turmoil, carry all this trauma, carry all these things with me. Allow me to be used in the space that you see fit. Maybe in the space that continues to be a problem and I see a need. Like, wow, like that bothers me right there. And it's I tell people, I truly believe he gives us what we need, or he's already given us what we need in areas that bother us the most, things that we're waiting on the government or other people to do. It's like, yeah, you have it, and regardless what's happening in your family's line, what's happened in your past, what may happen as you continue to move in this, it still doesn't change. It's just that sometimes our mind begins to tell us, yeah, but I can't do this because I'm not strong enough, because I can't do. I mean, look at my lifestyle. There's no way God could use me in this area, and it's like, why not? Yeah, like why not you?
Yeah, and I guess part of it is I admittedly am slightly pessimistic when it comes to my own like strength in that stuff, and I'm sure there are listeners that feel the same way. It's like, well, I don't know if it can be me, but like you said, there is a moment where you are going to have to start walking, on this path, and
that path may scare you, and you may be like, whoa, wait a minute, like, whoa, like give me another path, like that's.
And you may be interacting with people on your walk that scare the heck out of you, or whatever it may be.
They'll challenge you. They'll make you uncomfortable.
Yeah. So I think that's a good encouragement for me too, because a lot of times I'm like, I guess I could do something now, but I know God's going to do it at some point.
He's trying to do it, though.
He could do it now.
But a lot of times that's just it. He's trying to do it. He's trying to do it through you. He's chosen you because it stands out to you. It's like you may see things that nobody else sees. Y'all don't see a problem with that? I don't understand. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So why is it that I'm the only one that sees this, that sees a problem with this? And it's because, like you said, your eyes are open to see things that others don't see a desire to even make changes in. But it's maybe that's your race. Your race is to say, I feel like I've been called into this not because it bothers me, but more importantly, nobody else sees the problem with this right now. Like nobody else is it bothers them as much as it's bothering me, and I have to wake up every day and see something that everybody else is just like, it's not that big of a deal, Jason.
Yeah.
But it bothers me, and so maybe what it is that God is continuing to pull at you and say, hey, what's it gonna take, Jason? When's it gonna happen? Why not you? Don't worry about all the little things of, but my family. No. Understand, I've already worked on that. Yeah. I'm working on that. That's why I keep making you uncomfortable in certain seasons, because I'm trying to go ahead and allow you to let that mindset go. It's your time, and there's no need. I mean, think about it. You could watch your grandson do it one day, but imagine what it would be like if you did that to where your grandson takes it from there and says, now watch me continue on the race that you started.
I guess like my only rebuttal to that would be Moses never saw the promised land.
Right.
Like what if you do things the right way and it still doesn't work out,
Well, I mean, and you could think about that from that standpoint, but what if it done? But
I know. Yeah. I know.
And we can go back and forth, but
I'm just giving you
though?
something there.
The thing is that Moses did see the promised land.
Yeah.
He just couldn't go into
the
promised land.
Let me preach on that real quick.
All right.
Let me preach on that real quick. There's the past 4 or 5 months probably, there have been a lot of connections with me. I'm reading a lot or praying about a lot of things where it's this walk isn't a destination. The walk is meant to be the walk. The reason I say that is there a lot of sermons that I've listened to in the most recent months. I'm not being prophetic at all when I say this at all, but there is this guy on Instagram or something that I listened to, and it was like a solid encapsulation of this thing. So I'm copying his thing. I can't remember his name, but when he said it, I was like, holy S word. This all comes together so perfectly. It needs to be shared. It needs to be said. And especially with all these connections to my church history being the end goal is heaven.
Right.
The end goal is getting this street of gold and pearly gates and all this crap. It's not. the heaven is happening right now in your heart if you're a believer.
Right.
You know, and like I said, the transcendent kingdom that's already around us, if we just have our eyes open to it and walk this walk, we are already reunited and redeemed in Christ because of the cross that happened 2,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it's funny. There's so many ways we could use our church setting right now and point back to that time. So we're all on this mosey little walk in the wilderness, and we're like, man, when are we going to get to the promised land? But we haven't even thought about that the physical embodiment of God is literally floating over them. They're a pillar of smoke at night, or
pillar
whatever
of fire,
it is.
And yeah.
The physical, let me say it again, physical embodiment of God is in their presence.
Right.
And it currently is in our presence, in our heart.
Right.
That's where the tabernacle is.
In our presence when we gather. He's right now in our presence.
Why are we trying to get to this heaven? Why are we trying to worry about... Yeah, it's already here.
Well, okay, so look at it from this standpoint. And I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. I guess a lot of us, we fear what happens when this life is over. Mm-hmm. And so we're living here, we're living on earth, and we're promised that as a Christian, we'll live forever. Uh-huh. And when we leave this life, we'll go and we'll transcend to live in heaven and in our heavenly bodies with our Heavenly Father. And so the question is okay, like if this is it for you and you don't see a desire to hear one day, because I do, to hear one day that, you know, you did well. Well done, my perfect servant. Well done, my son. Mm-hmm. You know, you carried out exactly what I wanted for you. And that is why I feel like we go so hard to please God in a lot of what we're doing, to give him the glory in a lot of what we're doing, so that we can experience that. And even though life here is great and we can do so many great and perfect things and we can love people the way God loved them, I think that if my end goal isn't to hear that I did well, think about it. As a child, you want to hear from your parents that, like, that was awesome, man. You killed that. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, you got straight A's? That's awesome. You know what? Let's go celebrate this.
My dad never said that to me. Just saying.
Hey, you know what? Well, you know what? That's a whole nother level. We could talk about that. And
my grandma did, though. Come on.
Hey, yeah. You know what? But you know what, though? Think about it, though. Even in you saying that,
yeah,
there were times when you would have wanted to hear that from your dad.
Yeah.
And so knowing that one day in my efforts here, my Heavenly Father is going to tell me that. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to that. The moments when he sends people to encourage me on what I'm doing now, that is huge to me. Mm. I don't know you, but I know God put it on your heart to encourage me in what I'm doing. And that's a moment where I can look up and recognize that he's winking at me and let me know you're doing great. Mm. You're walking in purpose. You're walking according to where I'm moving you. You're not shying away from it. And so it's in those moments where I'm like, wow, I can't wait to experience and be able to sit down and hear from you and to tell me about all the moments where it was like, you did exactly what I called you to do.
Yeah.
You moved exactly how I wanted you to move. And so that is what I look forward to. And that's just me speaking for me, you know, because I know there may be some people it's like, hey, look, I'm good with this. And if this is it, hey, look, that's cool.
To be in that mind space itself is to walk a path, to walk in this like understanding that the glory of God is around you already. Like the kingdom has already come on the cross. Mm-hmm. I don't think people in our church or you know, as we would say, the dead man or the standing there watching the kingdom happen as I was.
Right.
You know, for 3 to 4 years of my life, that was my setting, like just not knowing what to do or not really understanding what to do next.
Right.
And so when you don't feel those things or, you know, really are affirmed in those like blessings or next seasons or anything like that, how do we encourage our brothers and sisters to get to that space? And so it's like, okay, yes, we do need to strive for something, of course, but that shouldn't be our, like, we should not do anything now because we've already accepted Jesus. He's in our heart. We're just waiting on the rapture. We're waiting on us to die to get to heaven or whatever. No, the physical embodiment of God is in our hearts right now. How do we redeem the world around us, not by our own actions or our own will, but by the will of the Father. And living in this space, like you just said, of understanding what season's coming up, or what season has passed away and ended, or what, all these things we've been chatting about. Like we're in this headspace. Like it's not hard for us to talk about our emotions or where we're struggling, or when the pebble hits our lives, like we know where to turn.
Right.
I don't think a lot of our fellow believers know where that is. And I think there's a whole other conversations about places that people have told people where it is, but it's not actually there. And so, it's like, how do we get and Mission Uprising is a perfect place, because it is an actual space where like, hey guys, these are some good steps to start acting like you're preparing for this mind space of walking in this transcendent kingdom, getting out of the matrix, and you're like really seeing the world around you for what it actually is. And this might be a difference in opinion for me and you, but like, heaven isn't a distant place. Heaven is here on earth. I fully believe that whatever rapture, or what, at the end, Revelation time, whatever it might be, it's not an actual flame on the earth that's like a ball of fire leaving and we're in the city of heaven. The city of heaven is on the redeemed earth we have right now. The Garden of Eden was here. It's not here physically, transcendently. Who knows? I don't know. That's another topic of craziness that I thought about. But, like when Jesus does finally put to death, I think I'll still be in my mountains. I'll think you'll still be, the city of Charlotte. But our perspective will be completely different. We won't be governed by, the United States won't exist. North Carolina won't exist. It'll be the kingdom of heaven that like really is existing. And I think that's a conversation about heaven and all that stuff.
And don't get me wrong, we could all you're right. We could all differ in opinion on what happens at the end of time. But I think,
but people don't know.
I'll tell people, the way I calmed a lot of my anxiety and worries about things is that instead of living in the future of what could happen, I live in the present, and so it allows me not to have to worry about what could happen. But it's easier said than done.
I know.
Think about it. Anxiety normally happens because a person is worried about what's happening tomorrow. What's going to happen next year. And so,
all my anxiety friends out there, I haven't, like, I'm still struggling and trying to understand more and more about what all that I personally have never had a lot of those feelings, but I'm trying to learn, because I know a lot of men and women always are struggling with some form of anxiety, and just understanding where, I don't know, where
it comes from.
Not where it comes. Maybe, I mean, I'm sure that helps understand how I can help in general, but like, I don't want to Band-Aid anything. Like I want to meet that experience where they're at, because I think that's what Jesus would do. But so I don't mean to shortcut or shortchange anybody's experience. And so I just don't know. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know that impending like anxiety feels like. And so
it's different for everybody. I mean, it truly is. I mean, like my anxiety in the past and even now is different than my son's. We were talking about that today, and that sometimes how it causes our bodies to react, how it puts us into a freeze state. Some of us, how it puts it to it affects everybody differently. But the thing is when you allow it to control you, then you're stuck always in a pattern of like, this is what I do. The second I feel anxious, I run, or I do this, or I freeze up. And so a lot of times it's in recognizing what's creating that, what's causing you to go into that space, that you can address that. Because if you don't address it, then you stay there. You stay constantly in survival of how it controls you. And so, going back to like even like what you were talking about as far as what could happen in the end times. Think about it. There's some people that when they start to think about like, well, wait a minute, what's gonna, like, should I, how, and they go into a panic attack of like, well, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe it's like, a lot of times looking at where we're at right now, like I'm not focusing on the future. I'm going to look at where I'm at and what I'm doing currently with my life and how that will affect me now. Like right now, I'm not worried about how it's going to affect me in the future, but how it's affecting me right now. I can then address like if I'm living the life I want to live. how I want to live. And I can't worry about everybody else in this community, because a lot of times in this community, we look at how God wants to use us and how we want to move in love. But then we start looking around at everybody else and we're like, well, why they not moving in love? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you don't see things the way you not moving the way and it's like, it's not for me to control how you're not doing it. It's for me to understand how I'm doing it. And even though you may have all the resources, you seem like you have all the finances, you seem like you're big enough to control so many things and do so many things. It's like, you know what? Let me turn around and focus on what God is calling me to do. Because regardless, my calling is definitely not your calling. My visions are not your visions. And so if I can stay focused on what God's doing through me, I shouldn't worry about what you're not doing or I believe you should be doing, because it's in my walk with you, my relationship with you, that you're going to do a lot of great things. And I can't worry about the things that you're not doing or they're not doing or this large. Or it's like, yo, God, you keep calling me into this space, so I'm going to move into that even if nobody else comes along, even if nobody else sees the importance. It's the relationship I have with you will never look like, and I think that's what kept me from a relationship with God, looking at everybody else's relationship and forgetting that my relationship is going to be exactly what it's going to be with Him. How I move, what I do, my parents may have never done it, but that shouldn't keep me from doing it. That shouldn't keep me from walking according to the way He's calling me to walk, walking in love, walking in forgiveness, walking in so many different things. And then the people will be inspired by what you're doing and how it shows up. And you may not have video of it. You may not have pictures of it, but the people that experience it or see you in different settings, they're gonna be like, wow, that inspired me to maybe do more. I know that I'm a Christian and that I'm wanting to walk according to the way God, but I thought that it was just showing up every Sunday and paying my tithes. Maybe there's more to this. Maybe God has more for me, but I thought that it was this simple. And I wanted to keep it this simple. This is comfortable. I can do this. That's uncomfortable. I have to go and talk to people that I'm antisocial, and you want me to go talk to people or you want me to witness to people. That's outside of my comfort zone. It's like, but no, maybe that's.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, I work with 115 high school to college age students from different backgrounds, different worldviews, who have all, for some reason, I think ordained, of course, found their way at Camp Harrison and are going to be teaching our campers 5 core values and the gospel. And I think I'm not going to call myself out of the generation. I think our generation, the conversation of mental health is obviously a forefront issue. What are good resources to share with our staff members, to share with young adults who are, I don't know if I want to continue this Christian thing because my mental health, or whatever. I can't do this because of my mental health. And, this isn't necessarily just a resource for our camp counselors or anything like that. But, I just don't know how to approach it.
Right.
And I don't know how to approach, because I'd love to just say, faith in Jesus is super helpful but in the moment, it just may not be the right words that need to be said.
Right.
So is there a curriculum? Is there something that, and I would like it to be faith-based, of course.
Right.
That point to these principles that we'd love to share and that I have a desire to share.
Right.
Become in language that our young people understand, and it does make sense. And like you said, you're worried about other people. You need to focus on your path, your walk, whatever. I want that to be a conversation someone has with Jesus on their own, on our site. I want our campers to think that way. I want our full-time staff to really understand and grip the season of life that you're in right now, the moment that you are, the reason you're at Camp Harrison for this season, maybe 2 months, maybe 10 years, I don't know.
Right.
Are you intentionally living in that moment, in that season? And if you're struggling with mental health, how do you mend it through these, through the Spirit, through Jesus?
Okay.
In a language like going to therapy is super impactful and helpful. And I don't want I don't want to not.
You don't want to downplay.
I'm not going to downplay it.
And you don't want to just do what I heard a lot of. Hey man, you just pray. Just
exactly.
Pray, Lord. Just go to God and that'll be taken
exactly.
care of. And
go ahead. Sorry.
And that does, earlier you were talking about church. That does create church hurt.
Absolutely.
When you've heard that all your life,
absolutely, and
you've experienced that later on when you realize that there was more to it,
right?
That creates church hurt.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that a lot of people feel like they have to choose. They have to choose God.
Yep.
Or their mental health.
Yes.
And they can't do both.
Right.
I am hugely passionate about saying, understand, God and mental health play hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And God works in our mental health. And I'm not saying that because I think that. I'm saying that because I experienced that.
Yeah.
I had a huge breakdown and a falling apart and a reconstruction in 2022 that allowed me to experience God at work while dealing with my mental health.
Yes.
So while going to therapy, I experienced God sitting in there with me and helping me deal with certain things that I chose that I didn't ever want to remember. I had dug so deep. I had literally put that stuff somewhere where I didn't make a map and put an X, and I don't want to remember where that's at. But it was in those moments where he was like, oh, yep, nope, got you. Here you go. Yeah. Now it's a matter of you facing that. I just dug it up for you. Now I need you to look at it. I need you to deal with that because you can rebury it, you can walk away from it, ignore it. But our mental health is so important because the truth is God will use you regardless.
Yeah.
If you allow him. The question is how heavy do you want your load to be as he uses you? Do you want to have to deal with all the distractions that you continue to carry around and the patterns and the addictions you have while trying to live out a life for God? I'm still dealing with pornography while I'm trying to talk to young boys about why it's not healthy. I'm still dealing with the fact that my parents had a divorce early in life, and I had to experience all the hurtful and harmful things that they went back and forth. I had a front row seat to that. Yeah. Now I feel a certain way because of what I experienced through them. It's in dealing with that. It's in going back and facing those feelings, going back and putting words to what you experience that allows you to be able to be used by God in a way that will allow you to set somebody else free that's going through that exact same thing. Yeah. So it's not a matter of saying, well, I got to choose my mental health because right now God's not going to do that yet. No, it's like realizing that God works in our mental health to allow us to set ourselves free. Yeah. But he's not going to just take that from you and help. Yep. Nope. You ain't got to worry about that anymore. No, there's sometimes a reason why he wants you to face that. Well, you know what? There are some times where he will literally almost put a dam there to say, I'm gonna stop the water pouring while you face this right now because there are so many things that are crashing in on you. You can't face them all at the same time. So I'm gonna put a dam right here to block that while you face that. Yeah. Because I don't want the world life just pouring in on you while you're still trying to deal with this. Yeah. So it's like he has a huge moment of saying, I am mental. It's not God or mental health. Mm-hmm. It's God and mental health. Yeah. It's God and therapy. It's God and healing. It's not a choice. So choose both and know that he works in that space of mental health. Right. Know that even though a lot of our backgrounds say, well, I don't have any theology to back that up. No, trust me, there are people that I like, for instance, Tim Ross has a great, I don't know what you'd call it, whether it's one of these little segments where he sits down with Michelle Williams, where they talk about God and therapy, God and dealing with your mental health. There are a lot of pastors, podcasters, believers that are creating content that deal with that. Matter of fact, there are a lot of pastors now that are speaking on that. My pastor personally speaks a lot about your even though people don't recognize it, I speak mental health. So I hear him as he's speaking about mental health and how God walks through that, how God works in that, how he's dealing with his own mental health, because it doesn't matter. You can tell people all day long, but if you're not doing your own work, your fruit start to show that absolutely it's not, I can't tell. Yeah. No, you're right. So and understand what you've done, the vulnerability and the conversations and discussions that you've had that have created a space for you to be able to get past some of the things that have held you captive. That speaks to the camp counselors and the different people you talk to. Sure. but it's through your stories. You have to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
If you don't talk about it, then you're led to believe like, well, yeah, I guess you do got to choose
one. Right. Okay. Well, that's great. I just just for some clarity for our listeners too, I don't come to this table with all of my
nobody
with
does.
all of my things fixed.
Nobody does.
Yeah, and
including me.
I just want to reiterate that though. I think it's important to reiterate that this conversation and conversations that pastors have or whatever it may be, don't think that this is a table of perfect men that have figured it out.
It doesn't even exist. That's why I normally try to let people know ahead of time. There's nobody that's ever going to sit at this table that's perfect, nor are they supposed to be. You're perfectly imperfect, and you brought the exact conversation we were supposed to have today. Literally, this was a perfect conversation.
Good.
This was a perfectly perfect conversation. This was great. And the crazy thing is, sometimes you don't realize that until later on. There may be times when I get up from this table and I'm like, I don't know if anything was impactful there. I don't know. And I'm later on encouraged when people say, I needed to hear that. Mm-hmm. That spoke to me.
Yeah.
Everything y'all said had me sitting on the edge of my seat wait.
Gotcha.
You too? And so when we start this with prayer, it creates a space where God then uses us to say exactly what needs to be said, even when we're like, wow, I felt like that was more like we learned from each other. We sat there and we sharpened each other, but in our sharpening, we created a space for somebody else to be healed, somebody else to be set free, somebody else to feel seen and heard. So your conversation brought about a space for both of us to sit back and be like, wow, no, that's a good point. And then we can take that point and we can grow from it, but others can sit back and be like, yeah, no, I appreciate it. You just helped me grow from things too. That set me free. So no, hey brother, I appreciate you coming and sitting
I had a
down
great
with me
time.
The truth is I tell you, we can run these conversations forever, but the truth is that what needs to be said, what's said here, it creates a space where you can't help but leave this table and be like, dang, that's a lot to think about there. That was that, and I promise you I will, because I do it all the time, which is, it happens even when I watch these things back as I'm producing it. It's like, yo, what I said it to him, but I said that for me to hear myself say, and I need to do more of that. I can't just sit on the sideline. We've sat on the sideline for long enough. I mean, think about it. When we realize it, we're I've been living this life, but I've been sitting on the sideline watching other people or waiting for other people to do it. And it's this whole time, man, I've been sitting on the sideline. The coach had been yelled, hey, get in the game. And I'm stuck over here on the sideline. So it's time for me to get in the game now. It's time for a lot of my listeners to get in the game. It's time for all of us to get in the game in certain areas that we just have been kind of waiting for somebody else to do it. Yeah. It's even though I'm a solid walker and it's but I'm still waiting on somebody else to do what I've been called to do, and it's for me. It's my time.
Yeah. Well, I just to be vulnerable, again, but the things that I laid in that fire Saturday morning, those things may develop to something different next fall. There's things that I remember in my mind saying, laying it down and interacting with God. And I had done Mission Uprising 2 times before this past session. And I say I've done them. There's always been a day or an afternoon that I couldn't go to a session, or I couldn't, I couldn't go to the morning walk the first time, which the third time was it's completely different.
Right. And of course, most of my listeners have no idea what you're talking about.
I know.
We can't really go into detail.
I know. But the things that I think need to be said is it doesn't matter what space or season that we're in, the things that we are working through, or the things that God's really working through, and are going to be there.
Right.
And for me, that's obviously physical health and pornography and masturbation is a killer to men everywhere, and it's entrapped me, and just figuring out finances is something that I'm still trying to figure out. And so laying those things in the fire and like having a I guess a thought on them has helped develop conversations and preparation for defeating those things.
Right.
And so, I think like Jason Mooney, he's one of the Mission Uprising guy. Yeah, Jason Mooney. He's a solid guy. He just shout out to him. He's reached out to me a lot, and we've met at camp a handful of times. And he threw me in the Proven Men group with him, and so he's starting to work on one of those areas for me. And so I have someone else in my life that wants to chip away at the physical health with me, and it may not require just like going and working out and eating right, but like having surgery is something that is on the table. And I think all options are on the table when it comes to that kind of stuff. And then financially, it's like things have, the fight has already happened since that last outpost. Challenges have already arisen, and like trying to figure out where to manage some of that stuff is right. All something that's consumed me. And so we sit at this table, and I just want to be clear, like I have things I'm dealing with, struggling with, things that I should be vulnerable with to my discipler, to people that want to see me grow and to being a Christian, and being a better man, better version of myself because of what Jesus has done. Mm-hmm. And so I don't want that to be unknown when after this conversation.
Well, know that you're in perfect company, because every person that sits down here, including me, we all are imperfect, and we're all striving to be better men, better disciples, better followers of Christ, and we're all on that path, maybe at different segments, different parts of it, but we're all striving to be better and encourage others while we're doing it, like being encouraging, because you're encouraging a lot of people. I mean, imagine how many people are coming and watching you. They're not just listening to you, but they're watching you. They're watching your actions. They're seeing if your actions are backed up by just the words that you say. Right. And so know that as you strive to be better, other people are encouraged by that, and I'm proud of you, even in that moment. Yeah, man, because I met you like, what is it, a year and a half ago? Yeah. And
first
I met
outpost,
your brother.
My first outpost.
Yeah, I met your brother, and man, listen to me.
Which, by the way, my brother, it has been a long time since I think my brother has seen the glory of God move in his life, and this past outpost, I really think he finally, I don't know if finally is the word I would use, but it changed him. It changed his heart. It changed his perspective is different. I
could tell by the conversation, like you have to understand, I met him the first day. We got up there and we were just about to like have an early hike. Yep. And we sat down and talked with him. And it was funny because he was like, dude, we got to catch up when this is all over with, because from the day that I met you guys till now, like my perspective, the way I see God, everything is different. And I was so encouraged by that, to the point where I was like, dude, we gotta, so soon I gotta have him sitting across from me, because I would love to hear like just that transformation that happened, because what he said that day before we left, it messed me up, man. It brought me to tears. Matter of fact, I have to give him credit for a tweet that I recently wrote that was just powerful. And it was simple, but it was powerful. So I look forward to that conversation too, just as much as I look forward to this one.
And it's funny, we did talk about it. We haven't really the way he just lives now is different too. I can't. It's all Jesus. It really is all Jesus. It's a miracle, but hearing him say words and do things differently in this new perspective is so cool. And
that's awesome.
It's it's a huge encouragement. I think Mission Uprising is such a impactful tool to help equip men to be better believers and to walk this path. And I hope one day I'll stand up in front of those guys and say, I'm not just walking, but I'm running on this path.
Nice.
Nice. Physically running on this path.
I love that.
And that would be a cool milestone to hit. I just I'm praying that at times I feel like there's gonna be mountains have to move for me to be in these growing areas. But the season of life I'm in right now, like I said, I'm the summer camp director at Camp Harrison. I just got that job in March, and things have been really fast, and it took me a couple of weeks to get organized and understand where I'm at, what I need to get before summer starts. And summer camp life is crazy. That's worthy of another podcast, completely on summer camps in general. But the fight to find people that have this common goal to share the gospel to campers, using the resources of people like Frank Harrison and Lee Herring and so many committed donators to our cause, whether they're believers or not, is so special. And it's a cool lifestyle. And seeing Mission Uprising there, those are the groups that we want at camp. Those men committing to something bigger than themselves in the name of Jesus is what we want. And I know that we're gonna do everything we can to get the kids, the father-kid version and the wife version, and I should say lady version, not necessarily wives, but I want them all to be at Camp Harrison, not just because of what Camp Harrison means on a level, but what I think, and this is crazy, I've said this to a few guys, but Mission Uprising comes at the beginning of our spring season and most of the time at the end of our fall season. It's in October. We still have some groups, but that spring session is truly like consecrating to the grounds.
Ooh, I knew you were going.
What you guys do and I'm going to cry because it's so true. What you guys do at the chapel, what you guys do at our overlook and those spaces where men are working out their crap and their life, the heart of Jesus is being literally poured out onto those spaces. And it reminds me of like Joseph's well. Like when Joseph built that well, or not just when Joseph built that well, and it was consecrated, and when Jesus met there with the woman on the well, like that is what you guys do for our whole season. And people, we have people that work there right now that have no idea that that's happening, but it really is. And so encouraging that and praying into that and embracing that is something I look forward to doing this summer. And just sharing our 5 core values of the YMCA, which are incredible. It's crazy that the Y made them up, but and pointing them to Jesus. Using that space to point them to Jesus, and providing a space where our counselors can meet like our Mission Uprising team does, and creating a space where our campers can do that with their counselors. And I pray that happens for generations and years to come. And our job at camp is to plant a seed and allow God to shake hearts of stone into flesh. And I think what we do in the spring and fall absolutely have meaning throughout our entire season. And if Dan, you're listening, or any of those guys, just know that happens. And so thank you. And thank you for honoring God in those times. And if you're a man and you haven't gone to Mission Uprising, step up. Let's go.
I've been telling people that, but I'm glad you said it, because you're right. It hits different for everybody, but it'll change your life, and not from a standpoint of like, oh man, I'm not trying to be that guy in the church. No, it's not about that. It's about being that guy when you leave church, on that guy on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that guy who is on fire for something bigger than himself, is on fire for something that has a whole newfound purpose. And it's funny.
I moved into the office I moved in my camp office probably 2 weeks before Uprising, and my grandfather has a sword that he used in his commissioning, or he got in his commissioning. It sits on my desk, and at the end of the sword is my Ebenezer. And Dan left some anointing oil, so I wiped it and put it on my desk. And it's my reminder that like I am still fighting, literally fighting for this kingdom. This Ebenezer reminds me of the seasons that will always change, but his love will remain. And the anointing oil is this like message of you're good enough to share this message kind of thing. And that's not, and it's not about what you did. It's not about what you've done in your life. It's because I, the creator of the world, have made it that way.
Right.
And
yes,
you know, those reminders are on my desk every day, and everyone comes that loves to play with the sword, but it's another chance to share about, you know, the walk and to share about why, you know, the glory is worth fighting for and worth being a part of. And you know, God will fight the army himself. Like he'll defeat the army himself. It's really just fighting those battles that are meant for you to train you.
Right.
You know?
Right. Knowing he's fighting alongside you, knowing that he's already gotten the victory for you. But the truth is,
it's training.
Even in that fight, he's going to grow something out of you. He's going to groom in you and prepare you. That's awesome. No, that's awesome, dude. Well, like I said, I appreciate you coming and sitting with me today, man. It's been a blessing. And I truly believe that God has so much planned for you. He has so much that he's going to do through you. Like your story, sometimes you may say, yeah, but I mean, like, I'm just trying to stay with the like short novels. But like, no, God's got a large segment that he has planned for you that he's going to do through you. And it's in you realizing that like, I'm bigger than this small story I wanted to write. He's got a greater story for me. He's got a bigger story for me. And it's in me realizing that I'm not supposed to be a small story. I'm supposed to be a larger story, that he's going to bring things out of you that are going to be unbelievable, bro. So I'm
Praise
excited.
God.
Yeah, I'm excited. I look forward to it. I look forward to hanging out with you for years to come.
Absolutely.
Not only at these tables like this,
but I got
also
more questions about your boss too. So
we'll definitely talk. But hey, I appreciate everybody joining us today. I thank you for your time. I thank you for sitting with us. Great conversation today. Wow, so much there. Hopefully you were encouraged. I want to thank my son and everybody who helps me put this together. I want to thank everybody for supporting, just coming in and sitting down with us and listening, because this is your community. I hope that you can feel encouraged. I hope that you can feel hope. I hope that you can feel seen through these conversations. So thank you much. Thank you so much. Blessed for you to be here. We'll talk to you again soon.
We appreciate you listening today and hope that if you enjoyed this episode, you'll like and subscribe and also listen to past episodes. We hope to bring you great future content as well. Please comment your thoughts on this episode as well as leave any prayer requests below so that this community can pray alongside you. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at God's Glory and Israel Stories.
Brothers, we understand how the thoughts of even facing your own past and current story and the pain and hurt that come along with this is no easy task. But you're not alone, as you hear in these episodes. Nor has God forgotten you or left your side, as he's in it with you, fighting alongside you through the storms of life. He loves and has already forgiven you, no matter what you have done, and he wants a relationship with you. Your healing, freedom, and growth are important to God and to us as well. Maybe you're considering giving up or need someone to talk to. Here are a few resources that exist that we hope can shine a light into that dark place you're in. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number is 1-800-273-8255. If you need support but are not in crisis, consider reaching out to a warm line with individuals who would love to talk with you. Speaking to someone on these calls is typically free and confidential and run by people who understand what it's like to struggle in life. Find a local number by going to warmline.org.